Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our Wednesday night 40k show. Thank you so much for being here, you beautiful people. And a big shout out to Nordos44, who's already gifted a membership. You lovely people. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Now we have 144 people already in chat. So there's two things I want you to do first before we start talking about the new Psycho rules for Warhammer 40k 10th edition, which I'm very excited. First of all, smash all those magical YouTube buttons for me. So hit that like button if you haven't already, hit that subscribe if you aren't yet a subscriber, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live. And the second thing I want you to do, which I actually need to set up very quickly, is I want you to go and raid another channel very, very quickly for me and say hello and maybe drop £2 and all that kind of good stuff. Because my good friend, the War Hipster, who has, you can hear him now because I'm going to his channel, my good friend, the War Hipster, who has been helping me with the Call of Duty streams, who has been amazing for the last month, giving up his free time for some of that stuff, has gone live tonight, and he said he had a bit of a wobble with his channel last week, and he was going to sort of thinking about giving it up and all that kind of stuff. So I've been very generous to him tonight because he's a lovely man and he deserves nice people being nice to him. So it's time to do a Great Hall raid. I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now, like this. Oh, no, not like that, like this. And I'm going to pin it. And if you could just quickly pop over there, say hello. If you're feeling super generous and you've got enough for 2 super chats, you can, because obviously you need to super chat to us as well, right? And go and say hello to Mr. the War Hipster. I'm going to screen share like this. And we'll see what Josh is saying. Why has it not?
Your vids are great and really help me and many others who lurk, lol, but please don't feel the pressure of our happiness on top of your own pressures, if that makes any sense, lol. It's the thing, Sandor.
Should be working.
Everything is so connected for me. I'm like, if I...
Is it working? Do it, quickly, do it. And he wants likes over 100 as well. Let's do that.
I get so happy whenever I hear that people are happy because I've painted my stuff the way I have and that they followed a video of mine and that the video has helped. I love that. I love that so much.
Thank you so much. You hear it. Quickly, everyone do it. I want to see all the people in chat, and then we can come back and talk about the actual topic.
Can we raid Winters and wish him a happy 50th?
Oh, God, no. 50th?
Liam sent us to raid you.
No one needs
Liam is an absolute legend.
No one needs to celebrate a 50th birthday, Keith. Yeah. You beautiful people, look at you. Good man. Good men. Good men. Good people.
Canadian dollar worth a little less than it used to be, but
it's weird raiding someone at the start of the stream, by the way. This isn't normal, people.
It all helps a lot.
But if you ever get a chance, if he leaves the stream up at some point later on, go back and watch the start of it. Let him talk through why he was doing the stream, why the title's called, right? Because it's just important that we support each other in this space. Josh is lovely. Like I said, he's been helping me out, looking after us in the Call of Duty channel. ! Game if you want to come hang out. What a legend. So just go over there, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Psychos.
Oh my god.
And he won't like the generosity either.
Thank you very much. Crisis, thank you very much for the 5. Mr. Noob.
Beautiful people.
One of my long-time friends here on this channel. You're so generous.
Right, cool. Perfect. Right.
Thank you so much for that 50. That's incredible.
I'm now going to mute him. And we're going to go back to the main screen. Thank you so much, people, for that. Like, Josh is a lovely guy, right? It's super nice that you guys have gone and done that for him. Like I said, he offered to help out with the COD channel. There was no requirement for him to do it at all. He just offered to help out for the COD channel. And I was like, I mean, as long as you're sure. He's like, yeah, cool. And then he basically turns up every single Monday. You all guys all know that channel's not monetized yet. We still haven't hit the 1,000 sub requirement for it to be monetized. But he comes and does it anyway. And he's great fun. And he's interesting to chat to. And he works super hard. Like, his channel's incredible, full of incredible tutorials. He does wondrous things with contrast paint. And contrast paint makes me rage quit. So he deserves all the love, right? Right. Anyway, back on topic. Thank you for doing that. You're amazing people. I love you all dearly. Let's talk 10th edition. There's more 10th edition rules out, people. Even more. And there's even more 10th edition rules that came out today that we'll talk about in the Liam and Joe show tomorrow. Good job we moved the show, right? Big shout out Alex Randall for gifting the membership. Thank you so much. Keith, I would raid Winters. I'd already decided to raid War Hipster. I'm not going to just do more starts because this needs to be a good on-demand video as well because we're talking about 10th edition. So unfortunately, I've already thrown everyone at War Hipster and I don't want to just stagnate the start. He'll be doing fine. Like, Winter's 100,000 subs, right? He'll be doing fine. Anyway, right. So 10th edition is coming. We know that. There are more rules, and more rules. And there's been a couple that I've not been sure of, but on the whole, I'm quite positive. Yesterday, they dropped a new article, which kind of covers Psychic Phase, but also kind of covers morale. And it talks about the phases of the game. And I'll be honest with you, this made me back on the positive, or put me back on the positive side of how I'm feeling about 10th edition. In fact, that's a lie. It didn't put me back on the positive side. I've never not been on the positive side. I've been on the whole positive side all the time. And if this is a scale, it kind of goes back a little bit when I see reroll wounds. More on that tomorrow on the Liam and Joe show. And then it goes back this way a little bit. You know, like it's between good and perfect is where for me the needle's moving, and I'm conscious that I haven't played the edition yet when I say this, okay? However, it's between good and perfect. This is something that makes that needle move more towards perfect than good, and I actually really, really like this, and I shall explain as I go as well. Now, I want you to keep in mind with this particular article that an army that I got commissioned by Seed Studios that we did the showcase for recently was the Thousand Suns. Okay, I've always loved the Thousand Suns aesthetic. I've loved the lore, I love the narrative, the Magnus model's beautiful. I've tried to paint them all myself repeatedly, and I've always done a terrible job because they're actually hard, complicated models to paint. Okay, so I had got Seed Studios to commission a Thousand Suns army for me, and I tried to use them 2 to 3 or 4 times, and I was just struggling with the Psychic Phase. Everything else, okay. Movement, shooting, fighting, actually relatively simple, but the fact that the Thousand Suns Psychic Phase is incredibly complex and complicated and layered, and people that do it well, a la Paddy, and do it all in order and know exactly when to use their Cabal points and exactly when to use their command points can master it, and it can be very, very beneficial to them. And people that do it badly, a la me, can end up with a suboptimal army because I'm just not using it correctly. There's another thing as well. Thousand Suns are able to do a absolute metric shit ton of mortal wounds in the Psychic Phase, and that's something that I found feels bad for me as well as the opponent. I don't like the take mortal wounds, take mortal wounds, take mortal wounds, take mortal wounds, take mortal, because it's just a bit shitty and it's non-interactive, and all you're doing to your opponent is going pick up models or put down wound counters, and I don't like that. Okay, so it's too complicated. It's a bit feels bad. Remember those two things. Now, finally, with what they've released on this particular article, I am back to being semi-excited about running the Thousand Suns on the channel and actually getting to learn to use them. I've held them back because I don't want to learn the 9th edition Psychic Phase in the hope that something like this was going to happen. And now I feel like I've done the right thing by not learning their 9th edition version and instead learning their 10th edition version. Okay, so we're going to screen share, we're going to read through it as usual, and then we're all going to talk about it, and all 233 of you are going to super chat £5, and that's it, we're rich. I mean, we're not, but you get it, right? You get it. Anyway, let's do some screen sharing. Cool, right. So, here it is, the article yesterday, 18th of April 2023. The new edition of Warhammer 40,000 makes all the phases count. Okay, so here is our article, and it says makes all the phases count. There's a specific talk about Psychic Phase, but there is in the title, but there is a lot of coverage of it. Okay, so it's all change in the upcoming new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Even the very basics of the game have been simplified to make the game smoother and faster without losing depth, which, if they achieve that, is perfect. Course. The turn structure is still the same. One player still takes the first turn to maneuver and fight with all of the forces at their disposal, and then the second player does the same. This is still called the battle round, but 7 phases have now become 5, and both players will now contest each one to the fullest, which means more interaction in your opponent's turn, which I think is good. So currently we have command phase, movement phase, psychic phase, shooting phase, charge phase, fight phase, morale phase. That's the current 7 as we're currently running in 9th edition. Said current too many times there. Okay, here's how it's going to look in the future. Battle round, command phase, movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, fight phase. So we've lost the morale phase and we've lost the psychic phase. Psychic phase is gone. Got rid of it. Morale phase is gone. Got rid of it. Already happy. Okay, let's read a little bit more into the detail. Command phase, both players muster strategic resources and then you test your unit's battle readiness, right? That is interesting. Both players, it says. Now, I don't know if both players will also test their unit's battle readiness. I am suspecting that in 10th edition, most of the stratagems that we're going to have access to are going to be defensive rather than offensive stacking, defensive buffs, okay? And if you remember, I don't know if actually, does it cover them? I think it covers the morale phase in this part later. There's some interesting detail coming, actually. I'm not going to spoil it. Some interesting detail coming at the moment about how that might work with the command phase. What I really want to know is there's things at the moment that are command phase. For example, a chaplain at the moment does his litanies in the command phase. If you take 2 defensive litanies and you do not get first turn, you do not have a chance to get those litanies up and running before your opponent starts shooting at you. What I would like to know, and we don't get given this information right now, is if in this command phase you can get your litanies, your defensive litanies up and running before your opponent gets a chance to shoot, so you haven't then paid for a unit you just flat can't use for a whole turn. That'd be interesting. Anyway, movement phase, your units maneuver across the battlefield and reinforcements enter the fray. Shooting, your units fire the range weapons at the foe. Charge, your units charge forward in battle in close quarters. And fight phase, both players' units pile in an attack with melee weapons. None of that seems different. That all seems the same. It's just the change to the command phase. Both players muster strategic resources, and then you test your unit's battle readiness. I mean, it's written ambiguously. That's the right word. There's ambiguity in the way it's written on purpose, right? Obviously. Okay, here's the headline. The phase structure is broadly the same. You perform admin for the turn ahead in the command phase, and then you maneuver in the movement phase, take aim in the shooting phase, charge into melee in the charge phase, and get biffing in the fight phase. Okay, so what's changed? The psychic phase and the morale phase are now no more, but this does not mean that psychic powers and morale are gone. The effects are still very much present. They've been smartly compressed into other phases. Let's break it down, okay? Break it down. For some players, the likes of Thousand Suns, Grey Knights, and Aldari, note the first one, I've just been talking about them, right? The old-style Psychic phase was a Technicolor carnival of Empyrean delights. For others, especially the Tau Empire and Necrons, it was often 10 minutes spent watching your opponent make a bunch of mysterious 2d6 rolls and remove models accordingly. So that links directly into me saying that this even feels bad for me just telling my opponent about how many mortal wounds I've done. Okay, so GW have recognised that this is a problem. Now, as an Aldari player, I typically would take maybe, at most, a Farseer, a Warlock Conclave, perhaps a Hemlock, and I'm not normally taking more than that. So actually, sort of 6 Psychic Powers isn't that bad. It's not that terrible. And there was maybe like 4 Psychic Trees to learn from. Grey Knights isn't an army I've ever played, but Thousand Suns with multiple Psychic Trees and multiple Psychic Powers was significantly more complicated. And when every single unit in your army has a Psychic in it, it takes a long time. And like I said, you have to do it in order, which is a problem, okay? Because if you don't get that order correct, you're just not using them to their optimal. And when they're pointed knowing that they're all Psychics and they've all got these abilities, it was just, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling of, oh, I've forgotten to do that power, or I didn't take the right Psychic power, or whatever. Okay. This was often unfun and awkward to play around, so now Psychic powers are used throughout other phases instead. Peering into the future for tactical insights, that's an ability for the command phase, makes sense. Paralysing foes with hypnosis, you'll do that in the fight phase. Tossing around Eldritch Lightning, that's a ranged attack used in the shooting phase, alongside any regular guns you may be carrying. So some people had expressed concern that if you were to have a smite as a Witchfire that was done in the shooting phase, and you had a gun, you then wouldn't be able to do both, alongside any regular guns you're going to be carrying. So fear not, it's not like we're going to go back to days of you can shoot or you can cast a Psychic power. It looks like you can do both, which is quite good. The new Terminator Librarian. So we got showcased this model the other day. We saw it when we were doing our first our first stream of the week, the DMZ stream on Monday, and me and Warhipster and Joe all agreed for a change that he is a beautiful model. I really like him. I'm going to cry when I hand him over to Joe to put into the Flesh Tearers. But they've decided to give us basically most of his data sheet, right? The new Terminator Librarian, for instance, unleashes his smite in the shooting phase. Each time he does so, you can choose to manifest either a controlled mental burst or a recklessly powerful psychic onslaught that may backfire thanks to the hazardous weapon ability. Right, more on that later. So here's his data sheet. Let's zoom in a little bit if we can. Here we go. Okay, the Terminator. Okay, so 5-inch move, toughness 5, save 2 up, 5 wounds, leadership 6, objective control 1. He's a Terminator, right? We expected him to be toughness 5. He has a combi weapon, which is his storm bolter, I guess, or whatever his combi weapon is. It's this thing on his arm right here, right? Anti-infantry 4+ is interesting because it means it always wounds any infantry on a 4+, no matter what it is. Devastating wounds. Oh, this is a combi weapon. Devastating wounds, we'll get into in a minute. Rapid fire 1, range 24, attacks 1, ballistic skill 4+, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. Cool. Interesting. Here it comes. This is now smite, right? Witchfire Psychic, 2 types you can choose. That little arrow always means you pick one of them before you do it, and you use that one. Both 24-inch range. Smite's gone from 18 to 24 inches. Both are D6 attacks with a ballistic skill of 3+, no casting required. Okay, so you roll a dice, D6, and you roll a 3. You then roll 3 3+s at strength 5 -1 D3 damage. I love this. I love this. Your opponent gets a save against it. I really, really like the fact that finally people get saves against Smite, and it's not just completely and utterly non-interactive. You're taking mortal wounds unless you're lucky enough to have a feel no pain, okay? But then we have the Devastating Wounds Hazardous Psychic version, which is the Focus Witchfire, 24 inches, D6. Shots the same, Ballistic Skill 3+ the same. Strength 6, it's 1 more strength. AP -2, 1 more AP, D3. The Devastating Wounds is the interesting part, okay? Now, again, only AP2. Really like it. It's stronger. It's 1 more strength. It's 1 more AP, so it is stronger, but it's not wildly stronger that you're always going to pick this one, okay? So, Force Weapon Psychic Melee, cool. Okay, fine. Faction Oath of Moment, Core, Deep Strike Leader, so he's a leader, he can join a unit. Psychic Could has changed. I like this. So, obviously, you're not casting now, so you don't need to roll denies. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 4+ ability against psychic attacks. So if you get hit by Thousand Suns with tons of smites, they're going to get a 4-up Feel No Pain against all of those smites, okay? Veil of Time, which is another psychic ability. While this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Don't remember what that is, but that's exploding 6s with 1 additional hit for every successful 6 roll to hit, unmodified 6 roll to hit, okay? So if you've got Stormbolters and a Terminator unit, any 6s generate an additional hit. Super simple, love it. Psycho 4+, Invulnerable Save 4+, keywords, faction keyword is always 1. So far, every time we've seen a faction keyword, it's only 1. Love it. I have no negatives here. I have no negatives. Model's beautiful, rules are perfect. Spot on. Good job, GW. That's all I have to say. Like, he's brilliant. I think that's spot on. I like the feel that Psychic could feel no pain against psychic attacks. I feel like that's narrative. I feel like it fits. I love it. Veil of Time actually kind of works as well. I feel like that's narrative. I like it. And it's just a powerful shooting attack. I love it. There's nothing not to like, right? Psychers are more than just brain-based artillery, however. He also boosts any Terminator squad he's leading, twisting the Veil of Time to grant their attacks the sustained hits ability. Each Space Marine Librarian brings their own flavour of psychic chicanery to battle. Remembering, by the way, that this guy is a Terminator Librarian, so he probably is only able to join Terminator squads. Don't think for a minute you can stick him on aggressor units. He'll probably only be able to join Terminator squads. And I'm basing this on the Librarian that we saw not the Librarian, the Lieutenant that we saw previously, who could only join specific units and couldn't join things like Gravis, okay? Then we go on to more. The Orc Weird Boy, on the other hand, can't be bothered with anything so quotidian as a gun, but his Edbanger shooting attack grows in power and volatility according to how many boys he has in his entourage. So we get to see something finally that's not a Tyrannid and is not a Space Marine. And when we look at the transport stuff tomorrow during the Liam and Joe show, we get to see even more stuff that's not a Tyrannid, not a Space Marine, which is good. So here's his Edbanger. Precision Psychic. By the way, Devastating Wounds, I didn't get onto it, right? Devastating Wounds here. This Devastating Wound is a 6 to wound. If you roll an unmodified 6 to wound, you do a mortal wound and the attack sequence ends. Okay? So that's, you have an option. You still can do mortal wounds with Smite, but you have to take the gamble and do the Focus Witchfire. It's called a gamble because it has a hazardous effect, okay? Anyway, back down to Edbanger. You'll notice with all of this stuff, there is no hazardous here at the moment. Edbanger, Precision Psychic, 24-inch range, attacks 1, Ballistic Skill 4+, Strength 6, AP -3, 1 damage. Strength 6 -3 seems quite strong already, right? Melee weapons, he's a weird boy, he's got staff. He's got Deadly Demise D3, so if you kill a weird boy, he explodes. Love it. And he's a leader, which means he joins units. We know that already, right? War Energy. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of this model's Edbanger weapon for every 5 models in that unit, rounding down. But while this unit contains 10 or more models, that weapon has the hazardous ability. Now, a hazardous, I assume, is going to be something like Perils or an overcharged plasma doing a wound to himself. And I'm also assuming it's going to be a wound to yourself. Right? Okay, perfect. But what I like about this then, it means if you've got him in with 20 orc boys, you add 4 to the strength, making it strength 10, right? And you add 4 to the damage, making it damage 5. Strength 10, AP -3, damage 5. That's cool. Then you've got the jump. Psychic, once per turn at the end of your movement phase, one weird boy model from your army can use this ability. If it does, roll a d6. On a 1, that weird boy's unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. On a 2+, remove the weird boy's unit from the battlefield and set it up again anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Here's another thing I don't know if we're picking up on. This isn't letting you pick psychic powers. You don't go to a tree of 6 and pick Doom and Guide. This is what you get. That's it. If you take a weird boy, this is what you get. If you take a Spice Marine Terminator Librarian, this is what you get. It's just on the data sheet. No flicking through other pages. Yes, it gives you slightly less options. Yes, it gives you slightly less flavour, but no flicking to other pages to find psychic powers. They're just here. Brilliant. Love it. Right. Here's the jump. Power fires at the end of the movement phase, allowing you to teleport his lad somewhere more deadly, assuming his brain doesn't explode from the stress. Beautiful. Okay, cool. That's psychic that we've seen so far. Someone has said devastating wounds is actually the damage becomes mortal wounds in the attack sequence ends. If that's the case, that's even better. Because if you get 3 shots and you manage to roll 3 6s, you'll do 3d3 mortal wounds. But you've risked the hazardous ability and you've got to roll 6s to wound, rather than I just roll a 5+ and suddenly I do d3 mortal wounds. It's really cool, right? I really like this. This is a psychic phase that I feel like I'm an Eldar player and I want to play Thousand Suns. This is a psychic phase that I feel like I'm going to really fucking enjoy, really enjoy. Okay, right. Morale. So we've done psychic. Morale is even simpler. That all gets sorted in your command phase when you take battle shock tests for any units that have taken enough losses. Battle shock tests are super simple. Roll a 2d6 for every unit that's below half strengths. That means they're a squad with less than half their starting models or a single model with less than half of their starting wounds. You'll need to roll equal to or above your new leadership characteristic, and if you fail, that unit suffers some nasty penalties until your next turn. So battle shock, that's just telling you how to take the test. When a unit is battle shocked, so if you fail, it's battle shocked. When a unit is battle shocked, the objective control characteristic of all of its models is 0. If it falls back, you must take a desperate escape test for every model in that unit. I'm assuming things get wounded as they fall out of combat. Its controlling player cannot use stratagems to affect that unit. So if you have a unit of 10 intercessors and transhuman is still a thing, if it's still a thing, and you fail your battle shock test, you can't use transhuman on them. This is where they could do really cool things with people like Night Lords in the future, right? It could be really nice. With this change, morale is no longer just a casualty multiplier. Like Psychic Powers, Battle Shock now impacts every other phase of the game, shaping how you use your units and rewarding players who can keep their army in fighting order. Paul Harrison, thank you for the poo. From transports to terrain rules, there's loads more to see, blah, 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 blah. The 1-star, Plasma Lovers will be familiar with this effect, which kills the shooter or inflicts mortal wounds. For characters and big models on an unlucky roll. Okay, so I can assume that if it's a normal model, it will kill it, and if it's a character or a big model, it will take a mortal wound or some number of mortal wounds. And that's to do with the hazardous effect that we see up here, right? That's basically what that is. So there it is, in a nutshell. That is the new 10th edition Psychic Phase and Morale Phase. Okay? What do we think? In the meantime, big shout out Noodle Basket for gifting a membership. Big thank you Ginger Steve for gifting 10 of the finest memberships. You beautiful humans. That means we've had 13 gifts that I need to add to my total right now. And you make me do maths. So 51, 61. Thank you so much, you beautiful humans. Don't forget, right, what we need to do, each stream, there's a goal. At the end of tonight, we need to be at 700. Start slow, team, innit? This is the problem. When I take you all at the start of the stream to go and super chat to War Hipster, then none of you do it here. None of you do it here, right? That's a problem for me. But I need 39 more members at least to get to 700 at the end of the stream, and then 800 at the end of Friday, and then 900 into Wednesday, and then 1,000 into next Friday. Beautiful wedding anniversary present for April 30th. Battle Shock is only one turn. Yeah, it is. Then you take the test again, Necromancer Goblin. But because you'll still be below half starting strength, you'll have to take... The thing is with Battle Shock, right, is if you get to a point where you're taking Battle Shock tests for whatever reason, you're then taking them for that unit for the rest of the game. And that's the only thing that could be a problem. If you're talking about armies with lots and lots and lots of low leadership, high model count guardsmen, for example, that could become a bit tedious, and I'm going to be interested to see how they do the War Hipsters better. I mean, yeah. I'm going to be interested to see how they do that. Because that could become a bit of a grind in the 4th or 5th turn, potentially. But I actually feel like morale isn't something. we glaze over morale so much, right? Often we forget it because it's just kind of shitty.
I'm beyond excited for 10th. The interaction that looks to be on offer is setting up for a fun edition.
Oh, I think it sounds like it's going to be a really fun edition, Jill. Honestly, I think it's going to be really fun to play. And I think that from what I'm seeing, I feel like there's still going to be a lot of tactical nuance to it, but it's going to be... So there's going to be a lot of tactical nuance to it. I still feel like it's not going to be wildly complicated to get your head round. And there'll still be a skill gap between great players and casual players. That's always going to be a thing. But I like morale's forever been a thing. I say forever. Morale for the longest time has been a thing. Roll a leadership test. Oh, you've lost another model. Roll loads of combat attrition tests. Oh, you've lost more models. And that's it, done. And I just kind of felt like it was a bit rubbish. Now, and because of that, like, when you lose models, in my theory, the way my mind works, when you lose models to morale, it's equivalent to they've ran away. They've just run away, right? So when that happens with Space Marines, I'm like, well, Space Marines wouldn't run away. It's just not something that they would do. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Now, they can't be affected by stratagems. Their objective control goes to 0 because they're regrouping. But it makes sense to me, right? It does make sense to me that. So I don't feel like that's so much of a problem now for Space Marines failing morale. They're regrouping, they're consolidating their position, they're reloading, they're getting ready to go again. It makes sense to me. A big shout out to Stick Monkey and big shout out to Mr. Sven Holio, who both gifted 5. You fucking legends. I love you.
New morale explains why vehicles and monsters don't brackets have any more. I like it.
Oh no. The 7 button got stuck. Oh no. Oh, stop 7 button. What happened there?
Nice that P-Hood is on so you don't miss it turn 1.
Nice that P-Hood is on so you don't miss it. Psychic Hood is on so you don't miss it turn 1. What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean, Michael. Fate Say Dreamer. Yeah. The fact that if you have a... let's think about it. Rhino, okay? So a Rhino has 10 wounds. So if a Rhino is down to 5 wounds, it's not bracketed anymore because they said they're removing a lot of the brackets. Some things will still have some brackets, but predominantly they're removing the brackets. But if a Rhino is below 5 wounds or below, so below its starting number of wounds, it will take a battle shock test. If it fails, its objective control goes to 0 and you can't put defensive straps on it. That's a good thing. I like that. I like the. I think this is looking great, this edition. And yes, I'm not massively happy about rerolls. Right, let's talk about one rule they showcased today. One of the Eldar vehicles, which allows you to get out and reroll wounds if you shoot something with a tank shot at. I don't like it, and I mean I don't use Falcon grav tanks anyway, so it's not something that I'm ever really gonna have a problem with. But it's more reroll wounds. So in addition, where they told it this, I mean, this is typical GW, right? In addition, where they told us they're removing all the rerolls, they've shown us loads of ways to reroll. But I'm hoping they're showing us some of the rarer interactions rather than the commonplace, right? New morale for me looks amazing. New psychic phase, my 1,000 Suns and their smites everywhere. It's going to be so much easier to remember. So much easier to remember. I'm so happy for it. Like, I feel like I could probably put down 2,000 points of 1,000 Suns at the start of 10th edition and probably know what I'm doing and be able to play them. In fact, how about this? Maybe, what do, chat? Do we say this? Maybe for the first game of 10th edition on the channel, I'll use 1,000 Suns to prove if this edition is or not simpler to play. What do you reckon? What do you reckon?
Battle shock feels like something that should end for a unit once they've passed and composed themselves, unless the unit loses more models.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm interested in, right? And I guess we don't have the full rules here.
Super chat for a nice anniversary who shares you with us. She also supports you to step out and do this. She earns this as much as you do.
Oh, Neil.
Chaos Custodes.
She earns it more than I do, my friend. Trust me. She puts up with me, and then twice she puts up with Joe twice a week as well. But thank you so much for the donate. Leaks, I'm kind of with you. Like, I feel like if you fail a battle shock test, maybe you keep the results until you pass it, and then maybe if you pass it, you don't take another one until you take a casualty again. But we don't have the full rules. We don't have the full context. I'm conscious that I'm making, I'm kind of making an opinion off something that we've kind of got rules for, but we don't necessarily have the whole picture. The way I'm reading what they've shown us, and this is just based on what they've shown us, is that we will be doing it every single turn. And someone's put something in here about, I don't like the idea of rolling every single unit at the start of every turn. It feels like it would take ages. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. That would be a bit shitty. The hood defense is active from the very start of the game. If you go second, it's still working during the first turn. Yes, that's something that I want to see. Like something that I gave them feedback for on ages ago. Right, first turn alpha strikes have always been so powerful. And in a 9th edition where everything that's defensive is a psychic power or a command phase ability, with the exception of stratagems, it's often hard to get your defensive buffs up and running, right? Excuse me. My throat's going today, by the way. The kids have had a cold for a week, and I thought, oh, I've managed to get away with it. And now my throat's starting to go. So you've always needed to go first to get those defensive buffs up and running and to get them going. And I like the concept now that perhaps that won't be the case. And actually, you're going to be able to have those buffs just in play because they're just abilities that exist. So yeah. Durgrim Bloodbeard, what a great name. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted, you fucking legend. We're okay. I take it back. I'm glad you all went to War Hipsters because we're racing towards the 700 target for tonight now. And it's easy maths when you just add 5 on, so thank you so much. Sounds like a good plan. Would like to see Thousand Suns. A couple of people said sounds good. Do AdMech versus Thousand Suns. At the moment, yes, Tim, none of us have got plans to learn AdMech. So we were talking about this on stream last night. I think we talked about it on stream last night. Joe and I, right? So Joe and I, as you all know, both of us are probably the main channel people for armies in general. Okay, so Paddy's quite good. He knows a fair few, but Eddie basically just has Necrons. Brom has Ultramarines. He's been trying to learn Votan. He's got Knights. That's about it. So Joe and I are like, look, 10th edition, it doesn't make sense for us to try and learn all the armies straight away. It just doesn't make sense. So what makes sense is that we pick 4 factions each and we try and learn those for 10th edition. Okay, so I've taken a gamble with one of mine simply because I don't know if Siege will have finished the commission by then. In fact, I don't expect they will, and perhaps I'll pick up a different one at that point. But at the moment, I've gone Black Templars because we've got the Siege commission in. By the way, I paid for the first half of that commission today and nearly cried. So all the super chats are genuinely very welcome this evening. That was sobbing material. So Black Templars for my Imperial Army. Thousand Suns World Eaters. Just told you about Thousand Suns and World Eaters makes sense. And of course the Eldar. They're the 4 that I'm picking. Joe wants to go Flesh Terrors, Imperial Guard. Although they're 2 Imperium, they're different enough. Then he also wants to go Tyranids and Black Legion. So Chaos Space Marines, right? So we're going to have a relatively decent spread. Tyranids are in there. Eldar are in there. Eldar in there include Harlequins, obviously. A Space Marine faction that's kind of standard, a Space Marine faction that's a bit different, a Guard faction, World Eater style. It's quite a good it's quite a good rounded list that I think we've gone for. Obviously, I want to chuck Ultramarines at Brom, which is more of a generic than Flesh Terrors and Black Templars, and also
Wonder
Votan.
how Sister of Silence will be in 10th. Will they still switch off Pie Sheet completely still? That's a lot of damage potential being taken away.
It'll be very interesting to see how these Sisters of Silence. I would really love to do a 100% Sisters of Silence army.
The battle shock rules make me curious to see how / if Chaos Demons affected.
Because of leadership debuffs. So the leadership debuffing things could be really powerful now. Things like Night Lords could be terrifying now if they do this the right way. All right. So what's the Space Marine? Leadership 6 or something? What if a Night Lord gave them +3, so leadership 9? You had to roll over a 9 to be battle. But then again, if Night Lords then do that and your whole army's battle shocking from the first turn all the time, that could be. It'll be interesting to see how they do it to keep the speed that they're claiming.
Is that Less Posh Josh?
Less Posh Josh, yeah, is Jay. Less Posh Josh. I saw you in chat, Dave B. Thank you for going and supporting Josh. He is lovely and we love him. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they do that with things like Night Lords, because
First super chat. Ukrainian American here.
Legend, thank you, man.
Enjoy your videos. Looking forward to 10th.
It doesn't
God
tell me
bless.
it's your first super chat, but thank you so much, B. You absolute legends. Thank you for the donation. Don't forget, 10% of all of our super chat revenue gets given to charity.
Picture this. Your Banshees get out of a Falcon that has hit a unit with its Shuriken catapults. It manages to charge in with all its super fast movement. It now rerolls wounds. Falcon Banshees is the D-cannon of 10th ed mate.
So it sounds strong, Ginger Steve. I just don't like rerolls. And I feel like there's a possibility that I end up in a place where I end up using something that I've categorically stated I hate, which I just don't like rerolls. I don't like the mechanic. But again, if the only access Elder have to that kind of rerolls is through Falcons, maybe it's not that bad, okay? Maybe it's not that bad. It's locked to a specific unit you have to pay points for, so maybe then it won't be that bad, and maybe the rant that I did on Friday just kind of goes away because it's not horrendous. But in addition, they told us they're reducing the number of rerolls. Currently, we're seeing tons of them.
Looking forward to 10th and looking forward to your GSC launch stream. JK, happy anniversary.
Hey, thank you so much for the donate. You're a legend. Right, Gene Stealer Cult's another one. Beautiful model range, right? Super cool model range. Looked at the rules when the codex came through, and I was like, no, I don't want to play this, you know. And Gene Stealer Cult's another one that I really wouldn't want to paint. I think Joe wants to paint a Gene Stealer Cult army, but we're gonna learn those 4 armies to start with. And once we're comfortable, I'm thinking like World Eaters will not be a difficult army to learn. And once I've got that one and I'm happy with it, right, then I feel like I can then move on to another army that might be like Gene Stealer Cult or something like that. Someone said, I've seen someone say, where's your Krieg gone? They're all here. I put them on pause simply because Joe painted a Valhalla army. We had Guard. It didn't make sense for me to make another Guard army. So they went on pause. We need to see how we don't. I mean, it sounds to me like maybe I've got this wrong, but it sounds to me like we're going to lose like chapter specific rules and legion specific rules, etc. And it might go more down the route of things like the Guard, where you don't necessarily have Krieg rules and Valhallan rules. So having 2 Guard factions that look different but do the same thing seems kind of pointless. And so the Krieg will become a personal project that at some point you'll probably see on the channel, but they're not my primary.
Love my quiet girls. Hope they have a role in 10E.
I love the Sisters of Silent models, Stick Monkey. I really hope they have some cool rules in 10th. I would love to be able to run a full army of 10th of Sisters.
I feel bad for calling you out for Warhipster making your COD streams better on his stream, so here's some money. It's still true though, winking face.
Right. David, let's get one thing clear, right, on the Call of Duty streams that we do on the other channel, !Gaming. Let's get one thing clear, okay? It goes, in level of importance, level of entertainment, it goes Joe, Josh, me. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that, right? MH, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us as a Hasir, you legend. ! Discord. Get yourself in the Great Hall server. Cool. Right. Nothing wrong with you tactically playing the game, regardless. Even testing an entire army will only take a few seconds. Oh, hang on. I've missed a conversation you're having right there. I feel like Sisters will be immune to Psychic Keyword and maybe give an aura or Flynn pen against psychic damage. That'd be super cool. Oh, Eddie's here. Hey, Eddie. He said, guess I'll just play Necrons. I mean, that is your army net, Eddie. Yeah, absolutely. We're lucky enough that when 10th edition hits, I've managed to get all of the team on the NDAs for GW so that we can give them all their individual rules and they can learn them. So Brom's got no excuse for learning Ultramarines. Eddie's got no excuse for learning Necrons. Chris has got no excuse for learning whatever his current meta choice is at the time. Paddy will have... So obviously Paddy's got Thousand Suns. He'll also have his Tau to learn, so hopefully we get some Tau in there. So I think we're going to have relatively good coverage when 10th comes. When 10th does come out, at the moment, with everything I'm seeing, when 10th does come out, I'm looking at it being a heavy number of streams on the channel. Like, I might just move Joe in here for a week and we might just hammer the streams with 10th edition content. I want to show off so many things. And at the moment, I'm wildly excited. So I am going to be at Warhammer Fest. I'm going up on the Friday evening.
Here's for my second best in Faction 2 in a row.
Good man. Good man. So thank you so much for the dono, Will, as well. You're a legend. So I'm gonna be up at Warhammer Fest on the Saturday, and I'll confess I wasn't going to go to Warhammer Fest at all. Like, I had no interest in going. I wasn't going to go, and then GW said that they were going to have 10th edition there, and they'll be showcasing it, and there'll be some I think they're showing the box. I think they said they're showing the box off. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I need to go to Warhammer Fest. Now, I wanted to go the whole weekend. I can't. Like I said, April the 30th, the Sunday, is my wedding anniversary. And, you know, we've been married 12 years. It wouldn't be good of me to not be here for it. I tried a little bit. And she said no. So I have to come back on the Saturday night. But I was not going to not go and have a look at what this is all about. So I'm excited. So if you're there, if you're going to be about on a Saturday at Warhammer Fest, come and say hello. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Come and say hello to me. It'll be great, right? The box reveal is there. Yeah, good. Doing well, cheers, dude. Looking forward to smashing Liam's back doors in tomorrow. I was going to bring Eldar tomorrow, Eddie. How do you feel about that? Eldar versus Necrons. It's the classic. It's almost War in Heaven vibes. How would you feel about that, right? How does GW balance custodies? I'd much rather have a 2-key farm with less than 50 models.
Might book the week off start of 10E for binging.
Yeah, all the binge. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait. I can't wait, honestly. Baby Lictors, are they going to be there as well? I don't know how I feel about those models, right? Move Joe in, which child you swapping him for? No, I have spare room that he can stay in, or a garden, or he can live in his car. Also, the Falcon needs to hit a target to grant its disembark unit wound rolls. Does it? Does it though? But then it's just got to hit its target, right? So that's not... You've just got to hit. It doesn't say you've got to wound or do any damage. You've just got to hit, which is quite nice. Mikey says, tell me one of you has been assigned Death Guard. If not, I'm 10 minutes around the corner. So Chris has got a bunch of Death Guard. It's just whether he sticks to that project or not. I'm there Saturday, hopefully, says Carl. You definitely come and say hello, you legend. Even if you spent all your money on Warhips tonight and not me, you treacherous bastard. I'm joking. Durgan Bloodbit, thank you so much for the 10 gifted. You absolute fucking legend. That means, chat, right, get this. We're going to go boop, boop, like that. Boop, 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 boop. Right? 14 away from 700. I mean, we could get to 800 in a night. Can we do that? Can we do that? Does Luce know this yet? What, that Joe's moving in? No. I've said it in jest. I don't suspect he's actually going to come and live here for a week when 10th edition comes, but I would like to really hammer the 10th edition content. Really plan on hammering the 10th edition content, genuinely. Website will crash and release with everyone trying to download the new rules. I mean, hang on, right? Hang on. You say that. However, if we go to the bottom of the Warhammer or the GW website, is it on the website? Let me find it, right? Hang on. This is interesting. I found this earlier. Right, where is it? Talk amongst yourselves for a bit, right? Jobs. Find your job. Okay. So we need to go to location. Needs to be UK. Oh no, it's not here anymore. This is a problem. Maybe it's not UK. Maybe it's everything. Department. Information technology. Okay. Are you ready for this, team? Right. Are you ready for this? F11. Screen share. Look at that right there. Look at that right there. Maybe, just maybe, they're going to finally hire someone to fix the fucking website.
Heart, you guys, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Chris, you absolute hero. Now, I don't know when this is posted. They don't typically have their jobs up on the website for very long, and it says it shuts in 14 days. So maybe it's only been posted today, but it does look a little bit like they might be doing something to try and fix their website, perhaps. I'm hoping. Big shout out Sheep Avenger for gifting another 10. Fucking legends. Oh, I love you people so much. You honestly, you literally feed us. You literally feed us. I'm very, very grateful. Excuse me, by the way. Like I said, head cold coming, right? It wouldn't normally be this bad. I'm sorry. I love you.
Lucy is selfish. She had 11 years of you. There is also next year for that. 10th launch not. On another note, I am thinking of starting a GK army with new Terminator models and bits from Paladin kit.
Oh, scaled up Paladin Grey Knight Terminators with new psychic rules and that new librarian. Do it. And she's not selfish. I love it. She puts up with this. She puts up with this and me and the channel, right? And she's incredible. So it's too late for 10th. They're going to have a fun first couple of months in the job. Yeah, they will, right? And Miguel, thank you so much for your first ever super chat, you legend. It doesn't say anything. If you wanted to write something in the comments below, just chuck it in there. Don't super chat it again.
Beardless Liam for anniversary.
Oh, God, no, Anne. No, absolutely not. IT managers don't fix websites. I don't know. It's all the same thing, isn't it, IT? It's all the same. I don't want my Farseer just having one power and ability for the unit they join on their datasheet and not be able to mix up some of the data established powers. That's not simplifying. That's simple. So I get what you're saying. I'm excited for it. Like, but if you look at Farseers, even they had 2 trees that they could play with, and you still saw the same powers all the time. So I actually still don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. Crisis and Nordos, thank you so much for gifting 2 more. Thank you. Don't get to 700 to stop, though. We're going to get to 900 to 800 tonight now, right? That's the plan. Okay. I liked an idea I saw earlier. I can't remember where I saw it, but if Warhammer Plus offered priority to pre-orders, it would help make sure people who want new stuff get it and not scalpers. That's a great idea, actually. Although it's kind of pay to win, I'm into it. I like it. I've got £55 of element vouchers that will get me 22% off of a Gene Stealer cult for 10th. I think a Gene Stealer cult army is much more expensive than that, John. I hate to say it. Knowing Games Workshop, they will underpay their IT stuff like everyone else. Can't get quality stuff if you don't pay for them. Pay peanuts, get monkeys, John, right? That's what we say. There's very few jobs in the world that get away with not offering top dollar for their role, right? If you're going to pay terrible wages, you're not going to get the best staff.
Do you think some units will be immune to break tests? I cannot see a demon or Primarch suffering from battle shock.
So, I mean, Dave, I honestly hope that anything leader keyword doesn't take the new battle shock test, for example. I don't like the idea of any of the heroes running away or struggling to fight because they're the heroes. So I'm hoping like leader keyword, for example, removes the requirement to take battle shock test or something like that. That's what I'm hoping. But we'll see. Again, we've seen some of the rules, not all of the rules, okay? So I'm just conscious of the fact that we haven't seen the whole thing. I don't want to make too many assumptions based on the fact that we haven't seen the whole thing, despite the fact that I am also telling you people that I'm very excited about it right now. But yeah, I can't see a Mortarion, a Magnus, or an Angron taking a battle shock test. I don't think it will happen. IT program manager is a senior role. Hopefully it will be someone to put boots up arses. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Because the thing is, experiences like the Lions release day just isn't good enough, really, is it? Let's be honest, right? It's just not good enough. People missing out because of website crashes isn't good enough from a company that is as big as they are now, right? Why would tanks or knights take battle shock? So knights I'm not so sure on, Chris, but tanks I can get it, right? If you're below your starting number of wounds, if you've been hit by a high armor piercing shell, if you've been smashed to the side and the tank is shook, tank shock is shaken. The tank's shaken. The crew have been knocked off their seats, and they're just recovering and they're assessing the damage. I can kind of understand them taking a battle shock test, and that's why I prefer it to morale. I even prefer the name battle shock to morale. So if a tank crew is shaken, they get hit by a high impact, they get rocked, they have to take stock, make sure everyone's okay, check that the crew are okay, etc. Patch holes, all that kind of stuff. And then in they go to carry on the battle. I think that kind of makes sense. Something that someone said earlier, which I think is super important to talk about, is the fact that I don't necessarily want to have to keep taking a battle shock test over and over and over again for the same unit.
Can't wait for all the channels starting with 10th content as soon as possible and getting 60% of the rules wrong. First time using this.
Miguel, you are generous. 60% of the rules wrong? I feel like I think you've understated it. 85% of the rules wrong. I can't wait for the first 2 months of 10th edition content where we're putting 9th edition rules in there by accident. Right? That's gonna be something we do. Almost definitely something we do. But thank you so much, man. You didn't have to super chat it again. You could have just said it and I'd read it out anyway. because you already dropped the donate, but thank you. Again, like I said, 10% of our Super Chat revenue goes to charity, right? So, can confirm RPGs to vehicles will cause the crew to need to wobble their heads. Yeah, exactly.
Love the show. Thank you.
I mean, thank you for the dono, Evan. Let's go for Evan. That's the right way to say it. You kick the nonsense out of a night, they're going to suffer neural feedback from the throne. See, again, because it's not morale. I feel like we can apply narrative logic to most things now, right? I kind of feel like that's okay. I think there are some things that maybe don't care about Battle Shock, like Corn Berserkers still, for me, when the nails are singing, don't care about Battle Shock. But realistically, with Corn Berserkers, you know, their objective control goes to 0, you can't put strats on them. You're not just losing models, and that's why I don't think it's so much of a problem. Like, you're just not flat losing models like you do now. Now, if Berserkers fail morale, you take a model off, and then you take combat attrition, you take more models. You're just losing models. So when it's the objective control becomes 0, and that you can't put strats on them, I'm not so fussed about it. And the objective control going to 0, they're Berserkers. If they murder everything on the objective anyway, it doesn't matter their objective control 0, because they've murdered everything else on the objective. So I just feel like having the Battle Shock and the way they've implemented it can make a lot more narrative sense as a mass applied rule than the current morale rules that exist. So I'm just happier. Can't wait for my Grots to out morale my Morganaut. They're not Battle Shock, they're too angry to pay attention. Exactly. Sex Machine, what a great name. Knights near the end of the game with a few still standing on low wound count could be shaky with Battle Shock. It could be. Death Company shouldn't be affected either. Exactly. But again, Death Company. So let's take Death Company, Keith, as an example, right? Let's take Death Company, okay? Death Company fail Battle Shock. You're not losing any models. Nothing dies. You're probably not falling out of combat, because why would you if you're Death Company, right? Death Company historically weren't able to fall out of combat anyway. You go to objective control 0. Oh, well, you're going to murder everything you want to fight anyway. That's the intent of Death Company narratively. You can't use strats. Maybe hurts a little bit, but considering I'm suspecting most of the strats will be defensive, and this is all guesswork about strats, by the way, but considering I'm assuming most of them will be defensive, and I think they're going to become more reactions-based, like what we've seen in Heresy, in the new version of Heresy. Like, I don't necessarily think that failing a Battle Shock test really hurts Death Company. I mean, if you're just standing there with your Death Company on objective, and they go to objective 0, I mean, you're kind of playing Death Company wrong anyway, because it's a Death Company, right? They should be going off murdering people. So if you look at it that way, and that's all the negatives they've shown us, I don't necessarily see Battle Shock as really hurting Death Company all that much, if I'm honest. Are you with me? And so I kind of don't feel that bad about it now. Interesting to see if objective control 0 means it can't hold objectives at all. 100%. That's one thing I want to know, right? I really want to know that. I heard that there simultaneously isn't a chin underneath Liam's bird, Schrodinger's chin, beard even. No, there's Eddie. That's 100% wrong. There is no chin. It just finishes here and goes. Right? It's why I call myself Beaker when I've shaved. Also, if Berserkers are going berserk, they practically would function like Battle Shock and that they won't listen to orders. Exactly. And this is what I'm saying. It narratively works. Here's my problem though, says Jeremy. If we have so many exceptions to the rule, why even have it? Core arguments for most armies can be made to avoid Battle Shock. The thing is, this is what I'm getting at, Jeremy, right? Because of the way in which it's implemented, I feel like you don't need an exception to it. You don't need an exception to Berserkers. You don't need an exception to Death Company, because narratively it doesn't matter for them. They don't care about holding an objective. They don't care about stratagems. They're just on a murder path. So because they don't care, you don't necessarily need to remove them from taking Battle Shock tests. You can leave it in there. Therefore, you don't need the exception to the rule. Just leave the rule there, and narratively it kind of makes sense. Whereas when it was previously losing models, a la kind of running away, it was a bit more of a feels bad moment, right? And it kind of didn't make sense then. Oh, a Berserker's ran away from combat. I mean, I guess you could apply narrative of he's impaled himself on someone's chainsaw or something like that. You're just kind of clutching there, right? Yeah. What about tanks and knights? Again, tanks can be shaken. We got that right, Chris. Now psychic gone. Does that mean they get more than one attack? Since can use weapon to shoot and psychic attack at the same time, has to choose which one. No, so it says you can use both. It says you can use your psychic attack and your shooting weapon, which is nice. So if you have a Psychic Terminator with a Stormbolter, you can use your Stormbolter and you can smite. It said that you can do that, which is super nice, Chris. Which Paul's just clarified as well. Nice. I completely agree. This new morale will speed the game up much more and makes much more sense to the current random. It makes much more sense to current random death. It's a good change. I hope Orcs will still have rules around the war boss killing some of the boys to make sure they pass tests, like things like Commissar, I guess. Jerry says, I agree. I just meant when other people are mentioning that so many units armies should be immune. The thing is, I think when it comes to things, here's one of the weird things with 40k in general, Jeremy, right? Not just 10th edition, not just 9th edition, 40k in general. Everybody thinks that their army should be immune to morale. Everyone thinks that their army is the bravest. That's been a thing forever. Okay, and there are some things like for me, it's never made any sense that World Eaters with the nails singing should take morale in its current form. I don't feel like that should be a thing. But it's a mechanic that exists. Space Marines, who shall know no fear, take morale. Kind of doesn't make sense to me at the moment, right? As a morale check specifically, and because of the way the mechanic works. However, this new version, I think I'm kind of more okay with it, right? I'm kind of more okay with it. Technically, Knight Freeblade mechanic from 9th was basically Battle Shock. Oh, was it? Good thing about Battle Shock now is no penalty to attacking the enemy. Yes. Beyond the beard, it's always winter, but never Christmas. Absolutely. My sisters are the bravest. Confirmed. Are you talking about your models? Come on, people. We're 1 away from 700. Oh, wrong side. I always do that. Wrong side. 1 away from... Look. Boop, 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 boop. We're 101 away from 800. It's about here. I'm going to guess there. Roughly. Right? As a guard player, I can confirm that I definitely think my army should run away, says Resident Rum Drinker. I mean, they should, right? Unless a commissar's nearby. Done. Inner Circle are the bravest boys. Please give us this. We have nothing left. It's an interesting choice, right? Balanced data slate just before Warhammer Fest, after confirming that you can take the Lion at Warhammer Fest if you do get your hands on them and you can paint him up quickly enough. And then going, and we've changed your secondary and we've nerfed battered Inner Circle. It's an interesting choice. I'm not massively surprised. Thank you so much, Tim and Slam Sector, for pushing us over the edge and starting us on the road to 800. You beautiful people. You beautiful people. I now have to put 702 in because Yeston's coming as well. A Yeston who is the reason why I've had to spend lots of money on Siege Studios. Because he started the commission. I'll show you the Dreadnought tonight. I showed you the character last time. Oh. Look at this, people, right? Look at this bad boy. Beauty. My Redemptor Dreadnought. Who's magnetised. Right? From Siege. Because of a Yeston. I'm grateful. I'm grateful, honestly. But thank you so much for gifting the membership as well. Get us 702. Just 98 to go. Told you my throat's going today, didn't I? Carla Body. Hodgie says, John McDaddy, see if it happens. No. It's about time he took a couple of weeks off, quite honestly. Do you think the Say Deaths are gone, or will Harlequins only be allowed to be taken in certain craft world attachments? I don't know. Because I had this conversation with Joe yesterday. We kind of disagree on it. I feel like we're going to have no craft world specific or chapter specific detachments because they've made a statement in the past. You can take whatever detachment you want and you're not limited by your colour choice now of your Marines. If you painted them Ultramarines, you're not locked into one single detachment. So I was under the impression that for your particular army, they'll all be kind of generic and you can fit them into whichever one you think fits your army's narrative the best, whether that be Blood Angels or Custom, for example. Joe seems to think there's going to be a bank of generic ones and there will also be a chapter-specific one, and you'll have access to either your chapter-specific one or you'll have access to your 15, 20 generic, however many there are. Let's say 10 generic, right? And I don't know, I'm just spitballing. So it could be that Harlequins get access to 10 generic Eldar ones, or they get a specific light, a specific dark, a specific twilight. I don't want to lose some of the flavour that we've got from its this is a hard thing, right? When you look at how 9th edition is now, it could be argued that there's tons and tons and tons and tons of flavour because every single chapter and every single legion and every single craft world has its own specific unique rules, which is great for flavour, hard for balance, and it's very confusing. And I'm kind of a little bit like, this is where I'm a bit swingy, right? So having that unique flavour specific to that craft world is very, very nice. But so let's take Southampton, okay? Southampton have been forever my favourite craft world, right? And Eldar have been my favourite faction. Southampton my favourite craft world. And I just don't feel like I've been able to really, really push down the route of a properly narrative Southampton army, and hence I ended up getting rid of my Southampton army. Now, I probably, ironically, could do it a little bit now with the Arcs of Omen detachment, but still, because I'm limited to 3 data sheets for Wind Riders, when I used to be able to take 5 or 6 units of Wind Riders, I just kind of couldn't get that mass jet bike feel that I loved. And I didn't care about not having objectives secured. Didn't care about that, right? It was not something I bothered about. And then because I didn't want to run Shining Spears for my Southampton, if I looked at the Southampton trait in the new Craft Worlds Codex, fall back and charge, reroll charges. I don't want to do that with jet bikes. It's not what I'm interested in doing. So I felt like I didn't have the flavour that I wanted. Okay. Now, if, let's say in the new edition, it states that none of this is come from any source or from any fact. This is all just me spitballing and kind of theorizing right now. But let's say it says, hey, if you take an Autarch on a jet bike, Wind Riders can become Battle Line, which is kind of their new version of Core in essence, right? So suddenly now I can build an army more like the Wind Rider host that I wanted to build, right? Doesn't necessarily mean they get any more objective control, doesn't mean they get objective security, that nonsense, but I could take them as Battle Line, okay? And then I look at the Southampton rules and say the Southampton rules are the same, right? Fall back and charge, reroll charges, because that's what they've currently got, just for sake of argument, right? That might not work for me. But then say that there's another specific detachment which says, well, actually, in this specific detachment, you get exploding 6s on shuriken weapons. Maybe that fits me better. I'm spitballing, right? I'm not trying to actually gauge power here and strength and competitiveness. So don't take what I'm going. That'd be too strong. It probably would be. Just for example, I go, that one fits my Wind Rider host with my carpet of shuriken death better for me than the current rules. So actually, I would rather have that option than be told, hey, you've painted them red, so you get fall back and charge and reroll charges. That's what you get. So with the Say Deaths, do we keep the flavour? I don't know.
I like them making less specific faction abilities. I play Bad Moons and they are just flat worse than most other Orc factions.
Yeah.
Always feels bad.
Yeah, and hang on, Nanaka, have I said that right? You then look at the other people, the other faction stuff, and you kind of almost get like, you get rules envy, right? You look at I don't know, snake bites and go, I kind of want what they've got, but I'm painted as Bad Moons and I've always wanted to be a Bad Moon. And we never had this feels bad before of going, yeah, but this is my favourite Legion, or this is my favourite Craft World, or this is my favourite chapter, but the rules are just flat worse than everybody else's. And now I feel like I have to play with a shitter rule set because I don't want to not use my favourites because they're my favourites and we want to play with our favourites. So I don't want to do that. But I feel bad if I'm now going to run my red Wind Rider host as Ulthway because they've got better rules. Okay, so I kind of prefer. It's weird if they're going to keep chapter specific or Craft World specific. They should not, and they've said they're not going to do this. They should just give you an option that is Craft World specific or faction specific or whatever, or chapter specific, and then also give you access to the generic ones, and that works then, right? Anyway. Thank you, Nanaka. I need to say a monumental, huge, massive, giant, throbbing, jizzing thank you to Tony Winnick, who came in and dumped 50 of the finest memberships. Oh my God. It's almost like having another John. Thank you so much, Tony. That is far too generous of you. Far too generous. And then as I say that, Mr. Adder comes in and gives another one, which means we're only 47 away from 800 tonight. Can we do it? I never make live streams. Love the beard. My ever vacant sideburns are jealous. I love the name. Thank you so much, man. You're a hero. If we're losing chapter Craft Worlds characters like Eldrad and Prince Uriel, can they now team up? That's the one thing that I haven't got a workaround in my head yet, John, as to how that's going to work. Like, can you then take Shrike and Gullyman in the same army, because I don't really want you to be able to do that. So I don't know how that's going to work, right? The only thing I can think of is, so here's how I think it might work. Maybe I'm wrong here, okay? So let's say Gullyman, right? Let's say you still have the chapter keyword, and you still have to make a chapter keyword, and say your chapter keyword is Ultramarines. And everything has that chapter keyword. Doesn't affect your detachment rules, doesn't affect your faction rules, doesn't affect your army abilities. It's just a keyword. And Gullyman and Tigurius and all those people are locked to Ultramarines, okay? That then means, potentially, that although you're locked to Ultramarines in terms of that's what your faction's called because you're running Gullyman, it doesn't impact any of your rules whatsoever. That's my guess. Right? And that way, you can have all faction Ultramarines, or chapter Ultramarines.
I have a feeling my only army is gonna suck Tau Frown.
No, I can't. Cyanide, I don't think you'll be fine. Like, Tau have been pretty good in 9th edition. I think they got the feeling of Tau, although they were quite powerful, I think they got the feeling of Tau right in 9th, personally. So yeah, I feel like if they lock it to a faction keyword, but that has no impact on rules, it just stops you from running High Marshal Helbrecht alongside Gullyman, alongside Torgaradon, for example, right? That's what I think. That's what I think. Do you talk about the new transport rules? Liam and Joe show tomorrow, Siray. We're going to talk about the new transport rules. So I don't cover too many topics in one stream. Basically, I'm milking this 10th edition content for all I can. Stephen, thank you for the gifted 1, you fucking hero. And then Cool German Dude for another gifted 5. Tony's done all the hard work for you people, okay? He's done all the hard work for you people. So all you've got to do is push us over the edge to 900. I mean, for 800. Like Valrak's Imperial Fist 1+ to wound in combat. What? What's he doing there? Well, right, if Sam's talking about rules, just ignore him, ultimately. So is that confirmed that the Liam and Joe show moved to Thursdays? Yeah, so, okay, right. So the Liam and Joe show was always on Tuesdays because we just started doing it on Tuesdays. We just did, okay? Now, Joe has a child with his ex.
Just as Red Corsairs get chapter rules and strats, GW take them away. Crying face. Damn you, Games Workshop. Still looking forward to 10th.
Honestly, Will, I think you're going to have more fun in 10th. Honestly, I think you'll have more fun in 10th. What was I saying? Yes, so Joe's personal situation, right? He has a child with his ex. I'm sure he won't mind me saying. He has a child with his ex, and he drops her off at school every Thursday morning, and he has to basically come towards me to drop her off at school, right? Now, Joe is an hour and a bit away from us, okay? So he could go home, he could drive 30 minutes to drop her off, drive 30 minutes back, then drive an hour and 10 minutes to me, or he could drive 30 minutes to drop her off, and then drive 40 minutes to me. So on Thursdays, I've always been like, just come, straight after you dropped her off, just come to me, it's fine, it's not a problem, right? It's not an issue at all. But that means that Thursdays have been, we've been productive, but I was like, what you could do if you want to is not come early on a Tuesday and come for the stream in the evenings on the Tuesday like we used to, and you get your morning back painting more models for the channel and get more stuff ready, so we can increase things like World Eaters or add more units to the guard, etc. And then on the Thursdays you come here because you come here anyway, and then we do the Liam and Joe show. So we're just optimizing our time to fit more around his personal life, and I think it makes sense, right? So that's why we've done it. It helps Joe out. I always want to make sure I'm helping him out because Joe is a national treasure who we should protect at all costs. Nick, thank you for the gifted 5, you hero. Omino, thank you for the gifted 10. Whew, this is going some now. 6974. Look at that. Wow, you beautiful people. Thank you so much. I think special characters will buff the army-wide to feel like they're Legion, Chapter, Sept, etc. if they are your warlord like Angron and Vashtor. That could work. Something like that could work, definitely. I want generic versions of some named characters. I sit in this weird place. Okay? I sit in this very weird place that I don't want named characters to be a thing in 40k in general. Now, if it's an avatar of Kane, he's not a named character. He's a summoned demon. So he's a bit different. Okay? But Gullyman or Abaddon or Eldrad, I kind of don't want them to exist in 40k. It just doesn't make sense. to me, personally. It doesn't make sense that they exist, and then they go into battles continuously across the 41st millennium, and they always die. Right? It doesn't work for me, personally. So I would rather that we didn't have named characters. Jeremy, thank you for the gifted 1. 25 to go. I thought we were going to get lucky to hit 600 tonight. 700 tonight, sorry. And now we're 25 away from 800 with 18 minutes remaining. So if every single person gifts 1 membership and super chats £1, every single person, all 350 of you, it's going to be close to a record-breaking stream. In fact, if you all gift the membership, it will be a record-breaking stream. But what you can do as well, which doesn't cost you anything, is you can just hit that like button for me. Thank you, please. Thank you, please. As a national treasure, is Joe going to the King's coronation? If so, are you? +1? No, he's not, no. All psychic rules on your data sheet. Can't wait to see the 3-foot-long Aldari data sheet. But I don't think they're going to have that many. I think they'll have like 2 or 3. I want Shadow Sun's suit, but not her as a character. I want Farsight's suit, but not Farsight. What about, yeah, well, I just don't like the idea. Like, I want to be able to collect the named character models and have them as centerpieces and showcase pieces. But I personally don't want their rules on the tabletop. I want the more narrative immersion of an individual bringing his own named character, his own Farseer, his own Autarch, his own Chaos Space Marine Captain. Sorry, is it Chaos Space Marine Lord or his Space Marine Captain? That's what I want. I don't necessarily want to see all of the named characters to show up and then die, and somehow I've got to explain the fact that Eldrad died again on the tabletop. One of the eldest Farseers has now died again. Big shout out to Nanaka, you hero, and Iestin. 10 from Iestin, 5 from Nanaka. You fucking legends. Look at you not go tonight. What's going on? Aw. You're beautiful humans, all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also have a Hulk model with a squig head as a mostly naked big war boss. Sounds incredible. By the way, people, just so you know, I went over to Warhipster's channel and super chatted £50 to say that he's amazing and thank you. So if you could just reimburse me that'd be great. But you have to add on the YouTube 30% as well, right? So, what, 65? That'd be fine. I disagree. Name characters fine. Yeah, see, I do kind of flip between it. One of the things I've always found a bit weird, though, is quite often with named characters, you can just build a better generic version. Johnny Delay for the record. Thank you so much. Raphael gifted 1. Look at you people go! Legends, legends, legends. So I kind of flip between the two. I think I always typically land on the side of not having named characters on the tabletop. But I guess they can be fun, and when you get the opportunity to field your absolute hero, it is great. Although there's also that potential feels bad moment when you go, he is my favourite character of all time, and he just doesn't, like, Joe's in a really happy place with Abaddon at least, although he's not necessarily in a happy place with Chaos Space Marines in general, because that's one of his favourite characters ever, and he actually feels like an absolute beast on the tabletop, okay? Dante didn't feel like he was that impressive. He's Dante. So sometimes they get it right and named characters feel really, really good. And sometimes they get it wrong. Jane Czar, for me, is a flop of rules for Eldar. I have her. She's on my little shelf of shame behind me, ready to paint, because she's a beautiful model and I want to use her because she's a beautiful model.
For the record.
Thank you so much, man. However, she's not a great character rules-wise, right? Chuckles, thank you so much for the 5. Cyanide, thank you so much for the 5. You've now pushed us over the 800, so we have to start on 900, haven't we? That's how it works. If you just finished flat 8 on 800, we'd have been okay. I put you down on my siege order, says Cyanide. Legend. Tell them that you came from me. It's important. Because then siege will go, fucking hell, this Liam's good. He's bringing in loads of customers. That's important for us. But I like my Lucius and plethora of cool wolf characters. Well, I mean, it's just my opinion, Jerry, right? They're never going to... The thing is, to be clear, I don't think they ever take them out. And the reason why I don't think they ever take them out is because...
Can you use your 1,000 Suns tomorrow versus Eddie?
Oh, God, no. I'd be so confused. I don't want to touch them until 10th, if I'm honest with you. I want to run Eldar tomorrow because I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much, Big Bad Peter Gaming, for gifting a membership, you legend. What a hero. But yeah, I'm currently in the place where I'm saving 1,000 Suns for 10th edition, and I'm excited for it. Okay. So, there was a goalpost here. It's gone now. Well, I keep moving them. 900 now. Just 98 to go in 14 minutes. You can do it. There's 349 people. If everyone gifts half a membership, right? Screw characters. This edition, I want transport action. Tank on tank, baby. That's all we need. I think marine named characters will go up by 1 toughness. I mean, it kind of makes sense. The thing is with characters, right? You have to be careful. So named characters, like, this is an opinion, and I don't think they're actually going to take them away. And I think they won't take them away because they sell too much because they're so popular. Named characters is a real hard balancing act from Games Workshop, and it's just typical of the challenge they have. Okay, whereby on the one hand they want them to be cool enough that they actually represent the character narratively, and they need to look and feel like the character that they're supposed to be narratively, which often would mean, because they're named characters that are infamous in the 40k lore, it often means that they would have to have incredibly strong rules. Abaddon, okay, as an example. But on the flip side, they also don't want them to be an auto take at every single opportunity. Baharoth, right? They don't want 20 Eldar players to turn up to a 200-man tournament and every single one of the 20 Eldar players to have a Baharoth, okay? And that's a very hard balance. So they could then pull his rules right down, which then means that potentially you can make a better character that's not a named character. Then people complain, well, I could just make a better Autarch than Baharoth, so why would I take Baharoth? So then they make his rules up, and they go, well, why would I ever take an Autarch? I'll just take Baharoth, he's better. And then they push the points up and go, well, Baharoth's too expensive. And it's a real hard balancing act. A real hard balancing act that I genuinely sympathise with them for, about getting named characters right. You know, it's not an easy job, and I sympathise. And the easiest thing to do, just take them out. Just remove named characters. Take them out. Right? That's the easiest thing to do. Make the models, sell the models. Sell them as display pieces, centerpieces for your army. But just take them out. Okay? That's what I would do. But they won't do it because it's a bad business move. Taking Abaddon out of the game with that model, who is stunning, you know, takes him out of the game. Right? Use your Elder against the next. Have these armies face each other, and I want to see the Avatar kill a Catan. We haven't done this on the channel yet because I would never have taken my old Elder against Eddie's Necrons, because Eddie's a semi-decent pilot. He's a fucking quite decent pilot of his Necrons on the whole, actually. And my old Elder army would have just been thrashed. But my new Eldar has better competitive choices, so, you know. We'll see how he likes 6D cannons. Carl of Hodgie, pack it in. You said you've got no money left. Stop. No. But thank you for the gifted membership. Luke, also thank you for the gifted 804. 804. So 2 people listen to me if everyone gifted 1. Beautiful humans. Thank you so much. You lovely people. I just think that named characters should be banned in competitive. That's interesting. So they can be as bonkers as they need to be for narrative play. That works as well, Snipe the Ghost, right? That solves exactly what I've just talked about, potentially. Poor Space Wolves, all their named characters. Now that Psychic is a keyword, I'd love to see a Scarbrand who is immune to all psychic weapons. I mean, it sounds like it's doable, right? I think that's what they are trying to combat with the limited psychic powers per unit and limiting which units they can join, etc. Yeah, I got Magnus just to leave him on my shelf with his thousands, but never run him. And this is the thing, Magnus is he's one of the coolest things ever. I want to run the Magnus more often. But I can't keep, we made it easy for you because he's got access to all of the psychic powers. But hasn't actually made it easier for me because I don't know which ones I want to use at each turn. So it's kind of not made it easier for me because now I've got to know all 18 to know situationally which ones I'm going to use. Miguel says, possibility the design team feels like you about characters and flyers, and therefore you and them are hated by the sales team. Possible, right? Absolutely. I'm especially good at moving my Silent King, says Eddie. Oh, he's still here. Don't forget, Eddie, between 3 and 4 tomorrow, because we've got the Liam and Joe show, all right? So, but I'm looking forward to it, mate. I'm getting pizzas in for us, Eddie. Is there any pizzas you don't like, Eddie? I need to know now. Right? Isn't narrative about creating your own named characters? Yeah, I mean, it can be. It's like Crusade, right? I wanted to love Crusade in 9th edition. We were playtesting it for a while, and I wanted to love it, and I just couldn't. And I kept giving feedback to them like, it's just too complicated. It's too much. I don't want to track all of that stuff, right? Hey, Liberty Fires, how you doing? How are you doing? Tell all the new members to join the Discord. !Discord for all of you people that have been gifted a membership tonight. Come and hang out with us in the Great Hall server. Any level of membership gets you access to Discord. I don't lock it behind a higher tier. Any level of membership gets you access to the Discord server. Come and hang out with us. People like Tyler, who's just gifted a membership, was gifted one previously and then has specifically paid for his own membership yesterday because he says it's so great, right? I don't like that piece of shit that plays Black Legion on the channel. Mandy says, bring a Nightbringer. Hey, hang on a minute, Mandy. I've seen what happens with you. Don't you pay people to bring them what you tell them to bring them in Necrons? I'm joking, Mandy. Don't, by the way. Thank you, Tyler, for gifting the one as well. You're a legend. We are only 95 away from 900. I'd love to see the stats for named characters to be bonkers and cost like 1,000 points each and not legal in tournaments. So I'm kind of like that with Super Heavies or maybe even Primarchs. They kind of applied this, if I remember rightly, to Heresy, where you couldn't take Primarchs under a certain points level. I think it was 2,500 points. You couldn't take a Primarch. There's a little part of me that thinks 2,000 points of Warhammer, no Super Heavies, no Primarchs. Right? But then that fucks Knight players, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure Knight players can still bring their toys. But I've always said that I've always felt like bringing Super Heavies into standard 40k was a mistake. Created a whole new problem with balancing that they didn't need to do, right? So, bad, Mandy, bad. What did the Avatar ever do to you? It looks better, that's what it did. The Avatar is a sexy model, right? My throat's nearly gone. Come on, people. We've only got 7 minutes to go. We can get through this. I am the Tired Knight, guys. Good chat to you all. Thanks for coming and hang out with us, man. I appreciate you. Don't take my word for it, but I might remember that in an old edition there was a way to make your own character. I missed that. Cyanide, welcome to the channel as a Jarl. You legend. Thank you so much. At the moment, in Discord, we have the Jarl's only giveaway, right? So if you are a Jarl tier or above in Discord, which is linked directly to your YouTube membership, you can go and find that giveaway. There's a little reaction button. If you click the reaction button, it enters you into the giveaway. And then at a certain point, I think it's at the end of the month, it will draw a giveaway and you're in a Combat Patrol box of your choice. We give away, it was Element have stopped supporting it now because they can't afford to because of Games Workshop stock issues. But we give away a Combat Patrol box now to a winner every single month. So we give away 12 Combat Patrol boxes a year. Right? Bring back the Chaos Boon table, 100%. Eddie takes Nightbringer, Liam runs Corn Demons. What's that? What's John said to Eddie? Eddie is a guest on the Liam and Joe show tomorrow. Liam said, I'm not allowed to join them for their show unless I change my name to either Liam or Joe, unfortunately. Correct. Exactly. By depot, and I have to see the certificate. Right? This month's giveaway isn't live yet. Oh, Gaz said he was going to do it yesterday. Discord. Let's have a look at Discord. It's 3 months piggybacking off Legends. I figured I might as well bump it up a notch. You're a legend. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If it's not live yet, I'll get it set up. I'll get the Jarl only giveaway set up tomorrow. I thought it was already live. That is my bad. Great Hall. Great Hall. Where is it? Where's the council channel? You are correct. The giveaway is not currently live. We'll get that up and running tomorrow. Ready for the end of the month. Right? Heresy has a 25% limit on Primarchs, including Bodyguard and Transport, and Lord of War combined. Unless you run a Knight's Force Orc, then you don't have that limit. I can't, but I like it's a similar thing. Didn't they do a similar thing with Sigmar as well? I think where they kind of limited it a little bit. I'm a big fan of that. Right? Jill with the exclamation mark GHG. Thank you so much. We're selling tickets to come and hang out with us at Element Games on the 14th of May. We haven't sold very many. Please come and hang out with us at Element Games. At the moment, I don't know if I'm going to run another one because it's just cost me a fortune. You just need named characters and super heavies to just be expensive enough that you could bring them into 2K games, but you would be missing out on being able to hold objectives. Okay. Try harder. Liam should pay you to show up on the Liam and Joe show. You are the rising sun. No, Colonel. Eddie should pay us to turn up, really. Right? He should pay us, really. How many GHG tickets left? Loads. Loads. I'm sorry. Loads. For fuck's sake, Liam, you had one job. I don't set the giveaway up. Gaz does that stuff. He knows how to do it. I don't even know how to do it. This is the thing. You don't realise how much effort goes into running a channel. I'm so incredibly lucky that I've got people like Gaz, people like Dave B, people like Dats and Des. You know, those people are absolutely incredible because they do a ton of work for me behind the scenes with no pay. They just do it because they love the community, because they love the hobby, because they love the channel, because they love you guys. They're amazing people that run things for free for me, right? I can't thank those people enough because sometimes I'm lost without them. Gaz messaged me the other day saying, do you want me to set up the Yards Only giveaway? I'd fucking forgotten about it. That's how good he is, right? Gaz is amazing. He's normally in here telling everyone to make sure they go ahead and like the stream, right? If they're a council meet up at Warhammer Fest, I need to get a lay of the land, and then at some point on the Saturday morning, I'll probably put a time and place that we can meet each other to hang out for a bit. Maybe like a burger bar, if there's one there at lunchtime or something, Liberty Fires, I guess. I don't know exactly how I'm going to make it work, but I will try and make sure everyone knows where I am. Okay, I won't hide with my backstage pass too much. I'm playing DMZ and watching you. Good man, Lehman. Fucking great game. Love it. I'm coming to GHG. Can't wait. Everybody who's coming to GHG, I can't wait. It will be great fun. I'm joking about saying I will never do one again, although it is costing us. I need to maybe reevaluate how we run it because we give you so much for your ticket. So if you're 30, I think it's a £30 ticket, you get 5 raffle tickets for a raffle, and I normally put hundreds of pounds into the raffle. You get lunch and dinner provided. You get to play at Element, amongst other bits and bobs, right? So we give you lots for your ticket. You don't have to worry about lunch. You don't have to worry about dinner. You don't have to worry about raffle tickets. You can buy more raffle tickets. That's fine if you want to. And we normally start off with a relatively reasonable size raffle, and I end up putting hundreds and hundreds of extra pounds into it just to make it nice and fancy and interesting and fun. So be excited. Okay, there's lots we can do. There's lots we're going to do for you guys. Also, we're running a pub quiz on the Saturday night beforehand so that we can sit and have a few beers and Element. And what we used to do is we used to do the pub quiz as the last thing on the day, but then we would drive home, and so like you couldn't sit in the bar and do a proper pub quiz. But now we're doing the pub quiz the night before so we can sit in the pub, sit in Element's bar, drink beer and do a pub quiz. I've enjoyed the little that I played DMZ. Good man. Saw that at Warhammer Fest, the 40k announcement is like 8 to 9 a.m. I'm not looking forward to trying to wake my brain up for that. Yeah. Come on, Liam. You are the tall, loud dude with the big beard. How the hell can anyone miss you? Right. You'll be surprised, though, Colonel. So, I don't feel like I'm a missable character, okay? So, you should be able to find me quite easily at Warhammer Fest. However, an experience I have had is people who have been let's use the word shy, okay? Shy is probably the nicest thing I can say, the nicest way I can put it without trying to sound condescending. People have been too shy to come and say hello. And I get it, right? I do kind of understand why people would be like that. I am not a special individual or human being. I'm just a normal bloke. What you'll notice if you come and say hello at Great Hall Gathering or at Warhammer Fest is I'm no different to what you see now. I'm just a normal guy who loves 40k, and I've just been exceptionally lucky that I get to do this for a living, right? Because of you people, because of people that have gifted memberships, because of people that have super chat. Although super chats haven't been so prolific tonight, over the course of the month, you guys are amazing, and I have to say thank you all the time because it's just mind blowing about how kind you are. Though no one's refunded me for my War Hipster super chat. I was trying to be kind, and I was like, it'll be past 4. I'm joking. All I want to say is I'm not special, I'm normal. So just please do not be afraid to come and say hello at Warhammer Fest. Please, please, please. Just come and say hello. Because I'm just a human. I'm just a fucking ugly human, quite honestly, right? I guess I could also tell you where I am. You could, you've got to be at least 6'2", right? I'm close. 6'1", maybe I think I am. 6 to 6'1". All right. JHG sounds fun if it wasn't a 13-hour flight. It's just 13 hours. Oh, for sure. I'd be super shy to talk to any of you in person. I'm just a quiet person in general, at least in person. Yeah, not behind the chat though, right, Mandy? I've had my favourite wrestler walk right past me. I didn't realise until I got on the shuttle. Oh, that sucks. I'm still waiting for my Angron and 8-bound. Oh, Jay, that sounds awful, man. You're special to us. Very special. Yeah, absolutely. I'm saving my super chats for tomorrow. I'm saving mine for when Eddie's on the channel. I mean, that's fair, right? He's a pretty big deal. He's not. I don't have any leather-bound books. No leather-bound books at all. You are special, very special. Thanks. He's being honest with you all. I spent loads of time with Liam off stream, and he's a twat then too. Yeah, absolutely. But like, this isn't like 5 million subs on YouTube might be a big deal, but fucking 20 something thousand, 22,000 isn't a big deal. I'm just a normal man, nothing more, right? So come and say hello.
Don't talk yourself down, mate. You're well special.
Well special. Thank you so much for the super chat. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to say goodnight to you beautiful human beings, all right? So tomorrow at 13:30 we have the Liam and Joe show. So come and hang out with us tomorrow at 13:30 for the Liam and Joe show. We have an hour and a half of talking about all the new transport rules. We'll finish at 3. We will receive the beautiful Eddie. We shall feed him with pizza. And then at 7:30, Eldar versus Necrons. Eddie's back on the channel to come and hang out with us. Twice in 2 months. It's a fucking treat, right? It's an absolute treat. So come and hang out with us tomorrow night for me versus Eddie. On Friday, at 9:30, we've got more 40k After Dark, and I'm gonna try and not talk 10th edition rules so that Luce can get involved again. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick some different topics for Fridays, a bit more real world. Like, what was your worst ever 40k experience? Don't tell me now. Get thinking about it. On Friday, we might talk about what was your worst ever Warhammer 40k experience. I've already got one in mind, so I can kick us off. And that's something that perhaps Luce can sit here and talk about as well, right? So you should join our 2-mile runs. I mean, I need to, if I'm honest with you. I need to start doing something. Because after the announcement about deployment zone, I've dived so heavily into working, just in mad fucking panic, that I haven't been to the gym. I haven't done any exercise. It's really bad, actually. I need to do something.
You are a great ambassador to 40k, making a very scary, intimidating hobby to be more inviting. You are a special person.
I appreciate that because that's what I'm trying to do, but I'm not special still. Still just a normal person, right? But yeah, so they say self-care should come first, but not if you can't pay the bills, right? So we've thrown ourselves into that, but I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, have a think about it on Friday for the 40k After Dark show. Your worst Warhammer 40k experience. Will we get a fact on Friday? Well, if we can come up with a topic that keeps Luce engaged, she won't leave us, won't she? Then we'll get a fact. Okay, we'll get there. She's now looking at me weird. She's got out of the bath. They're asking if they get loose. They're asking if they're going to get a fact on Friday. Thank you, Nick. You're a hero. just a shrug. Not going to say anything. Right, okay, well, there you go. We've got to keep her here, and then you'll get a fact on Friday, right? Anyway, you beautiful humans, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow, and then on Friday. And then maybe there'll be another Sunday show because I enjoyed that on Sunday. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.